Today we're checking out the Priority Skyline, Priority's most advanced electric bike yet. It's a premium commuter electric bike. Some might even call it a no compromises commuter electric bike. That's all thanks to the Pinion gearbox paired with a Gates carbon belt drive. And it all comes in at a price lower than you would expect for an electric bike with these components. Just give me 1 second. Grok, tell me how much an electric bike would cost with a Pinion 12-speed gearbox prior to the launch of the Priority Skyline.
Before the Priority Skyline hit the market, e-bikes with a Pinion 12-speed gearbox ran $5,600 to $6,500. Crazy markup compared to Skyline's $3,999, right?
Totally.
Yeah, blew everyone's mind when they dropped the price that low. Pinion gearboxes aren't cheap to make.
So in this review, I'll tell you everything you need to know about the Priority Skyline. First, I'll walk you through all the components. Then we'll get into some first-person riding footage. What's cool about the Pinion gearbox is there's also automatic shifting. We'll see how that performs. And then finally, yes, I'll tell you if there's any compromises with the Priority Skyline, talk about its pros and cons. But first, let's take a closer look. I'm Ryan from Ebike Escape, and if you're familiar with the channel, you know I'm a sucker for belt drive electric bikes, which is why I'm so excited to do this review. And if you didn't know that, well, now you do. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel for tons of electric bike reviews. Let's talk a little bit about the brand. If you're not familiar, they are New York based and they have focused on simple and reliable bikes and electric bikes, of course, since 2014. So they're no stranger to low maintenance belt drive electric bikes. In fact, my son rides a Priority non-electric bike that he loves. And yes, it's belt drive. They have a handful of showrooms and of course, partner bike shops. But perhaps most surprisingly is their availability 365 days a year. You can message them online. Of course, you can also email them, and they're also available via text message, which I think is cool. With the Priority Skyline, they sought to just maximize what a premium commuter electric bike can be. It's worth calling out that if you like some of the components of this bike, or perhaps the brand itself, you might want to check out the Priority Current Plus. But if your budget allows, there's just some things on this bike that you're not going to find from its competitors. Current pricing on the Priority Skyline is $3,999, and you can find up-to-date pricing down in the description if you plan to buy with Priority. Using that link is a free way to support the channel, or simply scan the QR code on your screen. Thank you so much for your support. So what do you actually get with a premium commuter electric bike? For one, 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large, accommodating riders all the way down to 5'4" up to 6'3". I'm 6 feet tall with a 32-inch inseam, and surprisingly, this is the size medium. My wife is 5'5". She also fits. I was actually nervous going with the medium, but now that I've sat on it, happy with my decision. It is only offered in a high step. It weighs in at 68 pounds. Total weight capacity is 300 pounds. With that, let's dive into the rest of the components. You get Tektro hydraulic disc brakes paired with 180mm rotors. The tires are Maxxis Metro Pass, 27.5 by 2 inches wide, of course street tread, reflective sidewall, and those are sitting on WTB rims. The wheel attaches with a through axle. The fork comes from SR Suntour. It's the XCM32. It has dual preload adjustments and 80 millimeters of travel. Metal fenders come included, front, and full coverage in the rear. The 500 lumen front light runs off the main battery. A nice touch, the light shines through their branding on the side. The rear light is built into the fender and also runs off the main battery. And when you hit the brakes, it flashes. The cables run through the stem here. These are locking ergonomic grips. There's matching Tektro hydraulic disc brake levers with motor cutoffs. And then on the right, you have the paddle shifters that control the Pinion gearbox. The further away one is how you go down in gears, and then this closer one will shift up in gears. Again, 12 speeds, and if you want, you don't have to shift at all. Be sure you stay tuned for the first-person riding footage for more on that. On the left side is the small LCD display, and tucked on the right is a USB-C port, throttle tucked underneath the display, power button on the center, priority on boot up. On the top right-hand corner, you have a battery percentage, current speed in the center, trip on the left, odometer on the right. Hitting the power button will cycle through different information over to max speed, average speed, time, and back to odometer. You can turn the lights on by holding pedal assist up. The screen goes dim. Turn them off by holding it again. Walk mode can be engaged by holding pedal assist down, indicator at the bottom. And then you have 5 levels of pedal assist. You can get into the advanced settings by holding pedal assist up and down at the same time. Only a few things to be concerned with here. In display setting, you can reset the trip. Under state of charge, you can change it from percentage to voltage. You can set a password on startup. But more importantly, under advanced setting, you can change the speed limit. It comes set as a Class 2 electric bike with a top speed of 20 miles per hour. But if you want, you can change it to 28, and we can exit the settings. And that's it for the Skyline display. I'll talk about the Pinion app in the first-person riding footage. There's an adjustable stem, so you can bring the handlebars closer to you if you want a more relaxed ride, or further out if you want a more sporty ride. The handlebars also have a slight swoop back to them. There's tons of mounting points, 3 on the top tube, 3 on the down tube, and 2 on the seat tube. There's an access door under the top tube. The battery is integrated into the down tube right here. Power button on the right, keyhole on the left. To remove the battery, turn the keys to the left. It will pop out slightly. And then beneath the frame is a little button that will fully release the battery. The cover is paint matched. Always appreciate that small detail. It's a 48 volt, 15 amp hour pack. The battery itself is certified to UL 2271. The entire bike's electronics are certified to UL 2849. There's a power button here to give you an idea of the current charge, and you can charge the battery while it's off the bike right here, or while it's in the bike by removing this rubber cover. The charger has a 2.8 amp output, so just over 5 hours to charge it up from empty. Other included accessories include a bunch of tools, a manual about the battery, the Gates carbon belt drive, the Pinion gearbox, the front fork, and another one for the Pinion gearbox. And here's something that's cool. They give you touch-up paint, both black and white for the Skyline. For extra protection for your e-bike battery, might I recommend our battery bag. This is the size small and fits almost every e-bike battery on the market. It's a roll top bag, clip it in place, and you have a handle. It's waterproof and flame resistant. E-bike batteries are expensive, so it's a good idea to treat them properly. To put the battery back in, this end goes in first and simply snap into place. Make sure you lock the battery and you can remove the keys. Here's a look at the Pinion Smart.Shift gearbox, 12 speeds. And as I shift through those gears, you'll hear the Pinion gearbox change gears within. 600% gear range. Don't worry, I'll just talk about what that translates to when we get to the riding portion. You get plastic pedals, a sturdy rear kickstand. The Commuter saddle comes from Sella Royale, and at least if I was commuting on the Skyline, I would want to make it as comfortable as possible by adding a suspension seat post. This is the one that we sell at shop.ebikeescape.com. Trust me, it adds a ton of comfort. On the rear is a sleek looking rear rack, 22 kilogram max payload capacity. In the rear is a 750 watt motor that peaks at 1056 watts, 90 newton meters of torque, engaged with a torque sensor. And yes, you can unlock it for speeds up to 28 miles per hour, which I'll be doing. And then you have the Gates Carbon Drive CDX drivetrain. It just looks so simple and will need less maintenance than a chain. And of course, you have no derailleur to worry about. That's what makes this bike awesome for a true commuter, because you just hop on and ride it, which is exactly what I'm going to do right now. Let's get into some first-person riding footage and see how this bike performs. All right, here we go. We'll start with throttle only with pedal assist turned off. No access to the throttle, but full access in all pedal assist levels 1 through 5. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, throttle. And there is a slight delay on this throttle that I've noticed, and you probably saw it as well. Pretty quick to get to 20 miles per hour and holding us there. Now, while I did notice that from a stop, it takes just a slight second for the throttle to engage. When you're moving, you have direct access. I mean, it's pretty much immediate. And I'm pretty sure they have that delay from a stop kind of as an intentional feature. So if you'd accidentally hit it while the bike is stopped, it's not just going to get away from you. So pros and cons, but now you know. Another thing with the throttle is you can maybe modulate it a little bit. I can try to have it hold me here at around 15 miles an hour, but it's pretty hard. It's more of a all or nothing, if you will. All right, now let's go through the various pedal assist levels. I'm going to shift all the way down. Pedal assist level 1, remember, this is using a torque sensor, which means the more power I put into the pedals, it's going to reward me for that, if you will. And so I'll do a leisurely cadence with each pedal assist level, and then I'll put in a little bit more effort. All right, here we go. Maybe about a half turn for it to engage. I need to shift up. So there's second gear, third. Let's go into fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So in pedal assist level 1, I'm in 9th gear, a little bit of a slower cadence, but that's kind of what I prefer. And it's pretty easy to cruise at 14 miles an hour. Already in pedal assist level 1, I do have this overridden, so we should hit 28. We'll see how that goes. And then a little bit more power from my legs. I definitely hear the motor just a little bit more, getting up to 17 miles an hour. So pedal assist level 1 is going to be great if you want to cruise closer to 20 miles per hour, get a little bit more of a workout in. Let's go into pedal assist level 2, and looks like again around 14 miles an hour. Spinning my legs nice and easy, and then a little bit more leg pressure. Let's see if we get a little bit higher than 17. So not a significant difference between those two pedal assist levels. Let's go into pedal assist level 3. Slow down my cadence a little bit here. Cruising a little bit faster at 16 miles an hour without breaking a sweat. More pedal pressure. All right, there we go. Getting closer to the 20 mile per hour speed. There's 19. All right, let's go into pedal assist level 4. I'm going to shift up. So we're in 10th gear now, cruising very easy at 17 miles an hour, and more leg power. There's 18. Will we cross 20? There's 20. Certainly can feel it in my legs. And if I put more pedal pressure, all right, there we go, 23, but I'm working for it. Pedal assist level 5, a little bit more leg power here, not a ton. 21, 22. I'm going to shift up. That's going to be 11th gear. So 21, 22, and then more leg power. Let's see if we can hit 28. All right, there's 25. I'm pushing really hard. 27. All right, I felt the motor cut off. So according to the display, we're hitting 28. I think I only saw 27 on the GPS. Let's do a little brake test at this fire hydrant. Not surprisingly, these Tektro hydraulic disc brakes are on so many electric bikes. I think they feel great. They perform great. So for sure with this bike, if you want to hit those class 3 speeds, you certainly will have to work for it. Class 2 speeds, pretty doable. I'm able to hold at 19, 20 miles per hour pretty easily. It's a cadence I could do for a long time. And I was manually shifting that whole time. You just feel for a split second in the pedals going up and down gears. It's pretty seamless. And what's awesome is it's just so exact because you're pressing a button and it's going into the gear that you want it to be going into. And I just stopped and it automatically shifted all the way down. That's one of the settings they have set from the get-go. But one of the cool things is the automatic shifting. So let me walk you through how that feels. All right, next, automatic shifting. You'll want to at least download the Pinion Smart.Shift app if to only use the start select functionality. So there's two settings in there, start select and pre-select. Start select, all it does is when you stop, it's going to shift down into a certain gears, which is super handy if you come to a stop sign or a stoplight. You don't have to worry about shifting down, so you can get started pedaling easier from a stop. And likely you don't need it at first gear, so maybe for a start gear, you could select between 5 and 8, depending on your preference. And then pre-select is where the magic of automatic shifting happens, because not only do you set a start gear, similar to what I just talked about, but then you also select a target cadence, which in my instance, I set to 65. That feels pretty good for me. You can play around with it and decide what you prefer. So right now, just cruising around, I'm in 6th gear because that's my starting gear always. So if I pedal a little bit and get going a little bit faster here, and then I stop pedaling, maybe you can hear it, but it just shifted actually 2 gears. So now I'm in 8th gear. So with automatic shifting, it only changes when you stop pedaling for a slight second and approaching a small hill here. So if I stop pedaling, it's going to shift all the way down. And again, if I stop. Now what is nice is being on a hill, I can override the automatic shifting. I just went down into a super low gear and this hill is now much easier. So keep that in mind. It's not always nice to stop pedaling on a hill. That's not really something that feels natural. And now I'm back to my automatic shifting. And now that I am on a flatter surface. Now when my cadence gets a little bit fast, that's when I'll stop pedaling. And if I've kind of timed it right, it will shift for me. All right, let's get going a little bit faster here. Pedal assist level 3. There we go, it shifted me up 2 times. Let's go into pedal assist level 5. And so what's handy about this, it takes some getting used to certainly, but you just never have to worry about what gear you're in. You can always just have a certain cadence. I just slowed down a little bit there and I wasn't pedaling. It automatically shifted me down. It just shifted me down again. And then when I come to a complete stop, it's going to shift me all the way down to 6th gear. If I start again, I can rapidly accelerate, stop pedaling, and it just shifted me up 3 times because it knows how fast I'm going. So that is the automatic shifting. Let's talk briefly about ergonomics. I really like these grips. They're very comfortable. During the walk around, you probably noticed I lifted the handlebars a little bit towards me. It's still a more sporty ride, but I'm in a more upright riding position than I otherwise would be. I will say the saddle is somewhere between a very kind of sleek mountain bike saddle and a cushy saddle. It offers a little bit of comfort. It's a little bit wider. That's of course going to be personal preference. I would definitely add a suspension seat post and then just decide if you want to swap out the seat after that. I've been riding a little bit on the sidewalks and I have to say I've been really appreciating the front suspension fork from SR Sun Tour. Out of the box, it felt really nicely adjusted for my rider weight. Feels like I'm getting a bunch of travel. All right, with that, let's get into our hill climb test and let's see how this motor performs. Welcome to the hill climb test. This is the hill that I test out all the electric bikes that I review on the channel. But the GoPro makes it look so much smaller than it is, so I'll put up a picture as well as the specs. And our first test will be a throttle only. Can certainly hear the motor, but let's see what the minimum speed is. All right, hill is starting now. 18, 17, 16. Remember, this is a 750 watt motor, peaking at just over 1,000, 14 miles an hour. The priority display certainly reading a little bit higher than the GPS. All right, and we are approaching the top. Minimum speed was 14 miles an hour, but this is a bicycle. It has pedals, 12 gears. Let's see how it does while pedaling. All right, pedal assist level 1, getting to first gear, which the amount of gear range in this bike is just insane because it's just so easy to spin my legs in first gear. I mean, I would make it up this hill, yeah, maybe only going 5 miles an hour, but I'm barely putting in any effort, so much so that I would probably shift up. Let's go into second, third gear. All right, feeling some resistance there. A little bit better. 6 miles an hour. Let's go into pedal assist level 2. I don't feel a significant amount of relief there. Let's go into pedal assist level 3. Now, of course, if I push harder on my legs, I'll get more power from the motor. 8 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist level 4. I'm going to shift up once more. 7, 8 miles an hour still, but more power from my legs. Getting up to 10 miles an hour. Let's go in pedal assist level 5. I imagine most people on super steep hills might want the highest level of pedal assist. I'll shift up once more so I can more easily put in effort with my legs, not spin my legs so fast. And it feels much better here. Very easy to hit 10 miles an hour. I'd even shift up here again. Getting in a little bit of a workout, 11 miles an hour. And of course, if I wanted to, I could just hit the throttle and then pedal alongside it. That's fine too. So yes, with the 12 gears, you can utilize those lower gears and really decide how much power you want to put into those pedals. All right, with that, let's get into some third-person riding footage. I'll give you the pros and cons of the Priority Skyline.
What should immediately be known is there's nothing quite like the Priority Skyline on the market, at least not at this price point. I'll get into some of the considerations buyers should be aware of, but let's start with what I like. I acknowledge that at $4,000, this is solidly in the premium category. This bike is really meant for the dedicated commuter or a rider who places a lot of value on an e-bike being low maintenance, who rides a lot, of course making the cost easier to justify, and someone who wants to be on the cutting edge of tech with their e-bike. Most people who see this e-bike, even those familiar with e-bikes, are going to think that big housing is a mid-drive motor, but nope, that's just a gearbox. There's a huge advantage of pairing the gearbox with a hub drive motor, which I'll get into in a bit, but if these gearboxes were on a lot of e-bikes, sure, it would be cheaper, but that's not the case, at least not yet, so that's definitely what you're paying for here. Shifting is truly as easy as the press of a button. No worrying about cable stretching or derailleur getting out of alignment. The 12 speeds almost feel a bit overkill, though riders who live in mountainous areas will appreciate having that huge gear range. Most riders should expect to use the higher gears though for the most part. The auto shift works well and is a nice feature, though I realize it's not for everyone. It takes some getting used to since you need to briefly stop pedaling for the auto shift to change gears. It is pretty cool though to be able to ride and never to have to manually shift. That gearbox of course is paired with a Gates carbon belt, which if you haven't tried a belt drive e-bike, you really ought to. In my opinion, there are no downsides. You just hop on the bike and ride. For those curious, Pinion does have an all-in-one gearbox and motor, but one of the disadvantages is that you then have no throttle, which most riders prefer. This being a commuter style e-bike, Priority outfitted it well. You get Maxxis tires, mounting points just all over the bike, a sleek rack, and the SR Suntour fork is a welcome addition. It makes the bike a little bit more versatile and of course comfortable, something commuters will really appreciate. Another benefit is the 3 size offerings, so you can pick the size that's going to fit you best. The 15 amp hour battery is about average size, good for between 20 and 60 miles. You'll get less if you use the throttle a lot or travel at higher speeds, and you get more if you utilize the lower pedal assist levels, putting in more effort yourself. It's also worth calling out Priority's US-based customer support team, their long-standing history since 2014, plus a 2-year warranty. Here are the main considerations. First, the throttle delay. It just takes a second for the throttle to engage from a stop. That isn't a deal breaker, just something to be aware of. There are undoubtedly pros and cons to having this delay, though I'm one that just wants the power right away as an avid rider. Next, I really wish Priority offered this in a step-through frame, even if it was just one size in the step-through. That would of course open this bike up to more people who just want that accessibility but also want a simple and cool belt drive electric bike. And then finally, while I think this 750 watt motor has plenty of power, within the 5 levels of pedal assist, I just wish there was more of a difference between them, mainly because you still need to work quite hard to hit the top speed of 28 miles per hour. That won't be an issue for some, like those who just want to put in a lot of leg power, or those who stick to slower speeds. But the trend seems to be, at least recently, even on torque sensor e-bikes, to have the highest pedal assist level really give you mostly full power without putting in too much extra work from your legs. Also, this is just more of a maintenance note. Pinion does recommend an oil change, yes, an oil change, on that gearbox every 6,200 miles. Remember, if you plan to make a purchase with Priority, use our link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen. It's free and really helps us out. And also worth pointing out again that if you're on a budget, you can get the Priority Current, which still boasts a lot of the advantages of a belt drive, just with some different features. Priority is a company that focuses on the simplicity of belt drives, and the Skyline continues that heritage with the addition of the Pinion gearbox. Yes, it comes in at more of a premium price point, but it's also unlike most e-bikes on the market today. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Does a simple, low-maintenance belt drive e-bike with a gearbox pique your interest? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.